4 billion euros, or, depending on your currency of choice, $4.57 billion.
That is just a massive number.
Right. When a number that huge hits the financial headlines, it just creates this sort of gravity. Like, it pulls all the attention toward the absolute size of the transaction.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the enterprise value Lone Star funds agreed to pay for Continental's ContiTech business.
But see, if you just stop at that headline price, you are entirely missing the plot, because the number that actually explains this massive corporate breakup, it's not 4 billion, it's 5.3%.
And that 5.3% is a glaring metric when you look at the broader context of the company, because that was ContiTech's adjusted operating margin in its latest full year.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, to really understand the friction there, you have to look right across the hallway at Continental Tires, which was sitting at a 13.6% margin.
Right, so that gap is basically the entire story.
Yeah, exactly. Continental is making a deliberate choice to prioritize focus over complexity. And Lone Star, well, they're placing a massive bet that they can take that exact same complexity and somehow turn it into value.
Which brings us to the mission of today's analysis. We are going to decode this deal. We aren't just looking at the price tag, you know.
Right, we're looking at why auto giants are suddenly shedding their industrial arms.
Yeah, and what that actually means for the broader market. So whether you closely follow capital flows, track private equity bets, or just want to understand the hidden incentives behind these headlines, you need to know who really wins here.
And, maybe more importantly, who is quietly absorbing the risk.
Exactly. So let's get into it, because public markets, they have virtually zero patience for complexity these days, right?
Oh, absolutely none, especially when that complexity does not consistently produce superior returns. Continental has essentially been operating businesses tied to fundamentally different economic realities.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. The forces driving sales for consumer tires are completely different from the forces driving sales for heavy industrial equipment.
100%. Think about the core tire business. It relies heavily on replacement demand. I mean, people wear out their tires, they get a flat, they buy new ones.
Right, it's pretty predictable.
Yeah, it's tethered to overall vehicle production, raw material costs, and just everyday consumer spending. An investor can model that cycle fairly easily. But ContiTech is a totally different beast.
Because they make specialized engineering components, right? We're talking industrial belts, heavy-duty hoses, infrastructure materials.
Exactly. That division is heavily dependent on industrial production, mining, construction, energy, and just massive capital expenditure projects.
So when you have the consumer tire cycle and the heavy industrial cycle sitting inside one single corporate group,
The stronger unit inevitably gets obscured by the weaker one. In finance, we call this the conglomerate discount.
conglomerate discount.
Right. Investors look at the combined entity and basically say, well, we love the predictable tire margins, but we hate the volatility of the industrial side.
So they value the whole company lower than they would if those two divisions were just trading separately.
Exactly. Capital gets confused.
Let's use an analogy here to really visualize that conglomerate discount. Imagine you have a massive root system and you've grafted two completely different plants onto it.
Okay, I like where this is going.
So one is an apple tree that needs consistent daily watering, right? That represents the tire business. The other is a desert cactus that only needs a massive downpour once a year, representing the heavy industrial cycles of ContiTech.
Right.
When you pour water onto those roots, which is the capital, it gets distributed inefficiently. Like
Yeah.
the cactus might get flooded or the apple tree might dry out.
That is a perfect way to look at it. By separating them, the capital and the market attention can flow exactly where they need to go.
So Continental separating its automotive operations previously was the first step, and now selling ContiTech completes this total corporate reset.
Yeah, they are officially transitioning into a pure-play tire manufacturer. And the primary benefit of a pure-play company for an investor is absolute clarity. Margins become much easier to judge against competitors.
Because every dollar is going toward making better tires, not split between tires and, like, mining conveyor belts.
Precisely. It also means management has fewer places to hide.
Oh, that's a good point. Without ContiTech dragging down the corporate averages, there are absolutely no excuses for weak performance in the tire division.
Right. If the margins slip next quarter, the executives cannot just blame a downturn in the global construction market. They own the results entirely.
So the narrative for Continental is crystal clear here. ContiTech had just become a cyclical drag on a much cleaner tire story. But that raises the obvious question.
Why on earth does Lone Star want to buy a cyclical drag for 4 billion euros?
Exactly. Why do they want it?
Well, they're executing what is known as a carve-out. They are placing a calculated bet that this industrial asset will operate fundamentally better and more profitably outside of its parent company than it ever could inside it.
And private equity firms have a very specific playbook for extracting that value, right? The first phase always revolves around simplifying the organization.
Which sounds great in a press release, but is incredibly painful in reality. Untangling a carve-out is brutal. You basically have to rebuild the company's entire nervous system.
Like ripping out decades-old IT systems and establishing brand new shared services.
Yeah, rewiring supply chains, completely changing reporting structures. But the prize for surviving that process is vastly lower corporate overhead
Yeah.
and much faster decision-making.
Because ContiTech will no longer have to compete for resources at a corporate headquarters that genuinely only cares about selling tires.
Exactly. And once they untangle the systems, they focus on the business mix. As a standalone, private equity-owned entity, Lone Star will push much harder on pricing.
They'll optimize procurement to squeeze costs out of their own suppliers, I imagine.
Yeah, and most importantly, they can aggressively ditch low-return contracts. A massive conglomerate like Continental might keep an unprofitable industrial client just to maintain high top-line revenue numbers.
But Lone Star does not care about vanity revenue. They only care about margin.
Right. And the underlying mechanism that makes all of this work is cash conversion. Industrial companies are notorious for reporting incredibly solid sales numbers on paper while simultaneously trapping all of their actual cash.
Trapping it in what? Like heavy equipment and unsold inventory?
Yeah, and long drawn-out projects. Let's say ContiTech builds a complex, multi-million-dollar conveyor belt system for a new mining operation. It takes 6 months to build and another 3 months to install.
Oh, I see. So if the mining company only pays when the system is fully operational, ContiTech has millions of dollars of cash trapped in that project for almost a year.
Exactly. They paid for the raw materials, they paid the engineers, but the cash isn't coming back in. That is exactly what trapping cash looks like.
So Lone Star's entire return on investment depends on turning a much higher share of those on-paper sales into actual durable cash flow.
They will demand milestone payments. They will refuse to hold excess inventory in warehouses.
Yeah.
Freeing up that trapped cash is how private equity firms pay down the massive debt they usually take on to buy the company in the first place.
Right. And the final piece of their strategy is simply waiting for the cycle to turn, isn't it? Because these are highly cyclical markets spanning transport, mining, construction.
Yeah. When industrial demand is weak, customers delay projects and pressure suppliers on price. But if industrial demand recovers after this carve-out is completed,
Even a very modest operational improvement by Lone Star will yield massive profit gains, like a rising macroeconomic tide lifting the boat.
exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting, and I actually have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're talking about this like Lone Star is walking into a totally untouched, bloated company where, efficiencies are just lying around on the floor waiting to be swept up. But wait a second.
Right.
ContiTech had already begun restructuring. They had already identified major savings measures well before this sale was even finalized. Lone Star is not buying a neglected fixer-upper here.
No, they are not.
Since Continental already started the cost-cutting, is Lone Star just hoping that trimming the remaining fat is going to be enough to find that hidden value?
You are absolutely right to challenge that assumption. Because cost-cutting is an action, it's not a complete strategy.
Right.
The buyer has to do significantly more than just slash expenses to justify a €4 billion valuation.
Right.
If they want this carve-out to work, they have to retain the top-tier engineering talent.
And protect the product quality so they don't lose their premium pricing power.
Exactly. They must preserve customer relationships and maintain supplier confidence during a very chaotic transition.
Because if you just cut everything, you aren't building a better company, you're just shrinking it. You're gutting the research and development that creates the products you actually plan to sell 5 years from now.
That is a crucial distinction that has to be made when analyzing these deals.
Hmm.
Margins can improve because a company genuinely becomes stronger, more efficient, and more competitive in the marketplace.
Right.
Or margins can improve temporarily simply because a company becomes smaller and starves itself of necessary capital investment. Those are absolutely not the same achievement.
And for the employees, the suppliers, and the customers of ContiTech, that difference is going to be decisive. Private equity ownership brings intense focus, but it also brings immense pressure to service leverage and restructure debt.
Yeah, that massive execution risk has to be priced into the transaction somehow. Which brings us to the actual mechanics of the deal.
Hmm.
The financial structure here is basically a giant insurance policy against exactly those operational risks.
Let's look at the actual cash. The headline says 4 billion euros in enterprise value, but Continental actually expects roughly 3.1 billion euros in cash at closing.
And it is essential for you, listening right now, to understand that enterprise value is simply the theoretical assigned value of the whole business.
Right, it's not the literal pile of cash that gets wired to Continental's bank account on closing day.
Exactly. The gap between the 4 billion euro enterprise value and the 3.1 billion euros in actual cash reflects transferred liabilities, things like debt that Lone Star is assuming, pension obligations, and just normal working capital adjustments.
And of that 3.1 billion euros in cash, Continental is planning to return around 2.5 billion directly to its shareholders, right? Like likely through dividends or buybacks after they reduce some financial debt.
Yeah, so for the Continental shareholders, the appeal is incredibly tangible. The corporate group becomes simpler to understand, the high-margin tire business becomes the sole focus, and you get a direct injection of capital back to your portfolio.
But there is a very specific kicker in this deal structure that we need to talk about.
Ah, yes. There is an agreement for up to 250 million euros in performance-linked payments.
That is 250 million euros tied directly to ContiTech's future performance under Lone Star's ownership.
And that performance-linked payment proves something vital. Both sides believe ContiTech can improve, but neither side believes that improvement is guaranteed or automatic.
Right. Lone Star protects itself by not paying a massively optimistic price up front before the turnaround is actually proven on a balance sheet.
While Continental keeps a small slice of the future upside just in case Lone Star hits an operational home run. It is the hidden trade at the center of the entire transaction.
Because Continental is willingly surrendering the vast majority of ContiTech's future upside. Like, if the global industrial cycle suddenly booms next year.
Or if the carve-out vastly outperforms expectations. Or if Lone Star turns around and sells the business in 5 years at double the valuation. Continental shareholders are largely locked out of those massive gains.
They are trading that uncertain future potential for cash, absolute strategic focus, and a much cleaner equity story today.
Exactly. Conversely, Lone Star is eagerly accepting the headache of separating the IT systems. They're taking on the industrial cycle risk, and they're absorbing the massive execution risk of changing the corporate culture.
Because they fundamentally believe this asset is simply worth more outside of Continental than inside it.
Right. And we can project two very clear potential realities moving forward based on those risks. The bull case is the textbook private equity dream,
where the separation runs incredibly smooth.
Yeah. Corporate overhead plummets faster than expected. Cash conversion rapidly improves as they implement strict milestone payments with their heavy industrial clients.
Margins expand organically without them having to damage the production capacity.
And right as they get the ship sailing smoothly, global industrial demand recovers, providing a massive macroeconomic tailwind.
That's the dream. But then there is the bear case, the absolute nightmare scenario for Lone Star.
Yeah, where the carve-out process itself becomes chaotic and unexpectedly expensive, burning through their cash reserves.
And key customers get nervous about the private equity takeover, worried about product quality declining, so they weaken their long-term supply ties.
Exactly. In that bear case, global industrial demand stays incredibly soft. Lone Star is forced to execute further, deeper restructuring to service their debt, which absolutely destroys employee morale.
And causes their best engineers to leave for competitors. So any initial margin improvement proves to be a total mirage because they cut their investment too deeply.
Effectively crippling their future product pipeline.
So what does this all mean? Like, when you zoom out and look at the broader landscape, this specific transaction highlights a massive tectonic shift in European industry.
Oh, absolutely. For decades, the old conglomerate model was the absolute gold standard in Europe. It offered safety through diversification.
The underlying logic being, if the automotive sector is in a downturn, our heavy industrial sector will hold up the balance sheet.
Right. But the new capital market model entirely rejects that philosophy. The modern market demands absolute clarity. It demands pure-play entities. Focus can absolutely unlock massive value, but you have to understand that focus also concentrates risk.
Yeah. Continental is now totally exposed to the whims of the consumer tire cycle. If raw rubber prices spike, or if consumer vehicle purchases plummet globally, they have absolutely no industrial division to cushion the blow.
And Lone Star is completely exposed to the heavy industrial cycle. The safety net of diversification is gone for both of them.
The true verdict on this deal won't be written today, or even on the day the transaction officially closes. It will take time to see if Lone Star's operational thesis actually holds up against the harsh reality of the industrial market.
Yeah, which leaves you with a fascinating framework to watch.
Exactly. Set a mental timer for 18 months from the day the separation is finalized. Look at ContiTech then, and ask yourself a very specific question. Are their margins improving because they are genuinely out there winning better business?
Creating superior engineering products and keeping their top talent happy.
Or did they just shrink their way to temporary profitability by starving the company of capital investment?
That is the exact moment the market will truly know what Continental actually sold.
Did they unload a toxic cyclical problem? Did they hand over an incredibly undervalued industrial asset? Or was it simply a good business that just belonged in different hands? Keep your eyes on the structure of these deals, not just the massive headline numbers.